Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about the OnePlus 6 and the Samsung Galaxy S9. The reason I want to talk about these devices because recently I had to buy a new smartphone. I had a OnePlus 5, no, Nexus 5X, but it just died on me. First, one half of the screen became unresponsive, then the whole screen became unresponsive. I tried to do a factory reset and uh, it didn't work. And the 5X was almost 3 years old, so I wanted to get a new phone by the end of the year anyways. I wanted to wait until the Pixel 3 came out or the OnePlus 6T, but I just couldn't wait. Uh, Actually, my backup phone is a Samsung Galaxy S2 with Cyanogen OS, uh, Android 4.4.4, and it works surprisingly well even today. So, the battery holds up for a whole day. Of course, it's just a backup phone, so I don't do much with it if I have to use it. But how many years old it is? How many years old is it? And it survived my Nexus 5X. Alright, so first I bought the Samsung Galaxy S9. And the reason I bought the Galaxy is because the S9 is beautiful, especially the screen. And I also like the size of it. Uh, the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus is a big phone. Actually, it's not much bigger than the S9, but it's bigger. Yeah, the OnePlus 6 is a big phone, but let me explain why I bought what. So, I bought the Galaxy S9 because it's a great phone. If you only look at the hardware, the display is fantastic. You get arguably the best OLED or AMOLED display on the market today. Uh, the resolution is high. Uh, the camera, especially on the S9 Plus, is one of the best. What else? What else? The speakers. The S9 has got a front-facing speaker. So it's still got the bottom-facing speaker like the OnePlus phones, but the earpiece speaker is also used for media playback. And this is a huge plus because on my Nexus 5S I had one front-facing speaker and it was so much better than anything with a bottom-facing speaker. God forbid back-facing speaker. Back-facing speaker is, I think it would be a crime in today's world. But yeah, it's much better than, I mean, even one front-facing speaker is much better than bottom-facing speakers. And I really did try media playback on the Samsung S9. I played with it for a few hours. I set it up for myself. And the hardware itself is amazing. It's beautiful, it's fantastic, it's gorgeous. Uh, it looks great. The Infinity display is great. I like the looks of it a lot. It's so beautiful. And also, for example, you get the retina scanner. Um, on the OnePlus 6, you also get the face unlock feature, but it also only uses the front-facing camera. And it is not secure because I have heard that, or I have read that it can be tricked with even with black and white photos. But whatever. The retina scanner is much safer. I think it's just as safe as the 3D face scanner of the iPhone X. So on the S9 you get great security features as far as unlocking goes. You get great speakers, of course not as great as two front-facing speakers, but much better than one or whatever many bottom-facing speakers. And I tried it, it's really great. Yeah, the display is one of the best in the market today. Uh, Overall, it's great. It's got the headphone jack. The placement of the fingerprint sensor is actually usable because having a fingerprint sensor just next to the camera is, I mean, that's just so bad. But the placement on the S9 is much better than on the S8. And actually, I have to be honest, the newest version of Android from Samsung is good. I don't have any, no, not any problem, but I don't have major problems with it. It looks good. It was responsive. It should be. The hardware is top notch. But the Samsung Galaxy S9 is, there is one major problem with it, which was a deal breaker for me. And let me explain it. So the phone itself is great. Hardware is, I think, the best on the market. TouchWiz, or how is it called? It's okay. The problem is the Bixby button and Bixby itself, but rather the Bixby button. You know, you spend 700 or 800 euros for a flagship smartphone which has got a hardware button on the side, and you cannot remap it, I mean officially, or you cannot remap it in the settings. You can disable it, but if you want to disable the Bixby button, you have to sign in. You have to sign into Bixby with your Samsung account, and you have to accept terms and conditions and privacy policy. And this is where it gets problematic. Very problematic and ugly. Let's see. I made photos. So this is the screen you get if you want to be able to disable the Bixby button. As I said, you have to sign in, you have to accept terms and conditions, and just have a look at it. Bixby will access phone messages, contacts, calendar, location, and phone storage. So, you can turn off the Bixby button, but you have to give access, you have to give permission to Bixby to access all of this personal information. You may have turned off the Bixby button, but you also have given permission to Bixby to access this information. And this is stupid, this is ridiculous, this is outrageous, this is ugly. You spend a lot of money on this flagship phone and you cannot even adjust what this hardware button does. You cannot turn it off. I mean, you cannot turn off Bixby unless you accept these ridiculous terms and conditions. You know, why should I give access to my private data just to turn on the button? You know, if Samsung were decent, they would make it possible to turn off the button in the settings or to remap the button in the settings. But they want to force you to use Bixby, or even if you don't want to use the Bixby button, you have to give access to your private information, to your private data. And this is a instant no-go for me. I don't want to have a smartphone for a split second which does something like this, or which is made by a company that does something like this. I think this is worse than anything else. That's so bad. Just think about it. You spend such a lot of money on your flagship smartphone, and you don't want to use the stupid Bixby button, and in order to turn it off, you have to give access to your private data. How bad is it? I just okay. And the problem is if you want to remap the button with third-party apps, you can do it. You can do a lot of things with third-party apps, but if you want to do it, let's see this photo. This is one example. There are a lot of apps in the Google Play Store to remap the Bixby button, and most of them want ridiculous permissions. To remap a button, this app wants to read phone status and identity. Not just this one, most of these apps. Why do you need phone status and identity, or even photos, media, and file access to remap a hardware button? Okay, maybe to do something, I don't know, you need photos, media, files, but device ID and call information. Why do you need it to remap a hardware button? You don't need it. You want to collect data and want to make money with it. And I don't want to give you my device ID and call information just to remap a button. It is Samsung's job to make it possible inside the settings menu to disable the Bixby button entirely without having to accept any kind of terms and conditions, or they should give you the ability to remap the button. It's Samsung's job. It should be baked into the operating system. I cannot accept that I spend over 600 euros, or it depends on where you buy it, 700 or 800 euros on a flagship phone, and I cannot determine what I want to do with the Bixby button, or if I even want to use it. I don't want to use third-party apps for that, for remapping it. I don't want to accept terms and conditions and give up even more of my privacy just to disable a hardware button I don't need on my 700 or 800 euros flagship phone. This is unacceptable. So that's the main reason I returned this phone. The other reason is, although TouchWiz is not bad anymore, I think, I could use it. I could tolerate that it's not stock Android, that it doesn't look like stock Android. It looks pretty. There are a lot of settings and options, and it's great. But there is a lot of bloatware. For example, you cannot remove or uninstall the Facebook app. You cannot remove or uninstall a lot of Microsoft apps. You can deactivate them. but I don't want to deactivate them. If I don't need an app, I want to be able to remove it. Why should it be baked into the operating system? Apps, these kind of apps should be optional. I don't use Facebook. I don't use Microsoft apps. I don't want to have them on my phone, not even disabled. And that's why I like OnePlus. There is no bloatware. Not one bloatware app. Nothing. It's like a Nexus. Or maybe a Pixel. I don't own a Pixel device, but I can imagine Pixel is like Nexus. So OnePlus is like Nexus. And like Pixel. Especially in that sense. No bloatware, no stupid buttons that you cannot remap unless installing third-party apps that spy on you. You don't have to accept terms and conditions and give up even more of your privacy to disable a hardware button that you don't need. So that's the major problem with Samsung. The hardware is great. I think the Samsung S9 is one of the best phones on the market, right besides the Pixel phones. I'm talking about Android right now, not iPhone. iPhone is a different word for me. I don't use Apple devices. I used to have an iPad 3, but I sold it after 1 year, I think after 1 year, because I just didn't like that. I was forced to use iTunes to do stuff with my iPad. At that time I used Windows, so that wasn't the problem, but I just don't like if companies want to force me to do something, to use something, to give them some information, to do something that should be normal to do without any extra stuff. If I have an iPad, I want to use it how I like it without having to use iTunes. If I have a smartphone, especially for that much money, and it's got a hardware button, I want to be able to do with this button what I want by default, not with third-party apps, not by having to accept ridiculous terms and conditions. Okay. So Samsung S9 is great. If it wasn't for Bixby, I would use a Samsung device because I liked it very much. I wanted to like it, I wanted to keep it, but I just couldn't. I cannot live with a device that is like this. Alright, let's go to the OnePlus 6. My wife has got a OnePlus 3T, and it's a great device. I think it's gonna be 2 years old now, if not 3, 2 or 3, I don't know. But it's a great device. It's running Android 8. It's got an update a few weeks ago. It's got face unlock with this update. It's got a beautiful screen, a good camera, a good fingerprint sensor. It's great. So that's why I went for a OnePlus, because I already knew that OnePlus is good. I forgot to mention something. Why I didn't get a Pixel device? Pixel is my dream. I like my preference is really stock Android, so Nexus, Pixel. That's what I want. At the time when the Nexus 5X came out, Google offered it in the Google Play Store, also in Austria. I ended up not buying it from the Google Play Store. because it was ridiculously expensive. I got it much cheaper from another online store. But you know, it was even the official price was much lower than the official price of the Pixel 2. So the Pixel 2 is, if you want to buy it officially from Google, you have to live in Germany or the UK in Europe, or maybe you can get it in France, or I don't know where, but I don't know. In Austria, you cannot buy the Pixel phone from the official Google store, and you know, I could buy the Pixel 2 from Amazon for a good price. The problem is, as far as I know, I have researched it, if you don't buy the Pixel phone from the official Google store, you don't get warranty. Also, let's say, even if you got, but for example, I live in Austria and I buy the Pixel from Amazon and I have a problem with it. I could only do something with warranty if I lived in Germany, because Google officially sells the Pixel phone in Germany or the UK. But I live in Austria, so I couldn't do anything if I had a problem with the device. So that's why I didn't buy the the Pixel, because I have heard that some people or many people had problems with the screen or speakers. I don't know. I didn't want to risk 600 euros just because just to have a Pixel device. Google doesn't sell it in Austria. They don't get my money. That's it for you, Google. If you don't want my money, you don't get it. If you want my money, sell your device in Austria. Come on. It's in Europe. Okay. Whatever. And the major advantage of OnePlus is that you can buy it almost in any country, I think. You can buy it very easily in Austria. You get a great device for a great price, so 520 euros. I bought... Come on, I have clicked on it. No, not this one. This is a great thing, but it's out of stock. I want to buy it as soon as it's back in stock. Okay. I bought the mirror black, and I bought the 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage version, because it costs only 50 euros more and you get twice as much storage and 2 gigs of extra RAM. I don't think that 2 gigs of extra RAM matters, but twice the storage, this can easily matter if you want to use your phone for 3 or 4 years, possibly. So that's why I went with this one, because I like how mirror black looks. Although I've got a case, this is the nylon case, it's great, but you know, this is not for example, this material is not waterproof. I mean, if the phone gets wet, this material is going to get wet like a piece of cloth. So that's the only thing about it, but it feels great, it looks great, it's nice, I like it. But I'm thinking about ordering the carbon fiber case as soon as I can order this wireless headset, which was somewhere here. Okay, whatever. So what I like about the OnePlus 6 and OnePlus in general, that you get a Nexus or Pixel-like experience in the software. Oxygen OS is, I think, 99% stock Android. I really like it. There is no bloatware. There is only one OnePlus app, the community app, which is a great thing. You can get help from the community if you have some problem very easily. For example, after the latest update, the smart lock menu inside the settings was empty for me. So I opened smart lock and there was nothing there. I posted my problem on the community forum, and quite soon someone replied with a solution, and the solution worked. I've got my smart lock settings back, so that's why it's great. But there is no other app, there is no bloatware, not one. It's very clean. Oxygen OS is simple, it's clean, it's slick, it's fast. Really, this phone is crazy fast. I like this, how is it called? Drawer? I don't know how it's officially called. I like this. If you swipe to the, come on, to the left, you can have your widgets here, and I like it that you can swipe down and have your widgets. I like swiping down more than having to swipe to the sides. That's why I have only one home screen. So that's great. The other great feature about the OnePlus 6 is the face unlock. It's using the front-facing camera, so it's not as secure as the as Samsung's Retina unlock or the the 3D face unlock on the iPhone X, but it's extremely quick. It also works in darkness if you check the relevant option, because the screen lights up in darkness and it can recognize your face. And it's crazy quick. And it's very good to have this feature because the fingerprint sensor on the 3T is great. I think it's very good, but the fingerprint sensor on this one, I don't know, it works, but I'm not very satisfied with it. Sometimes it just won't recognize my finger. The fingerprint scanner on the Nexus 5X is great. It always worked 100% of the time. It was very reliable. This one, it works 99% of the time. Face unlock works always, and you don't have to hold your phone like this. You can have a angle to it, and it's still gonna work. Of course, not such a crazy angle, but it's gonna work if you have a little bit of angle. Okay. The notch. I like the notch. You have a little bit more screen real estate, and I think it looks great that you have so much screen on the phone. The notch doesn't disturb me. I like it. And you know, I like if companies copy the good stuff from other companies. I like Flossie Carter on YouTube. You know, he also says, copy the good stuff. Give me the good stuff for my money. I'm not a fanboy of Apple or OnePlus or of anything. It doesn't disturb me if OnePlus or somebody else copies good things from other companies. I want the best possible thing for my money. So keep copying the good stuff. Don't copy the bad stuff. Headphone jack. That's good. They didn't copy the bad stuff. They copied the good stuff. Notch. And you can turn it off if you don't like it. That's what I like with OnePlus. You have options. If you don't like something, you can turn it off. Samsung. I'm talking to you. Okay. What else? What else? What else? There is a lot to like about the OnePlus 6. You know, the display is gorgeous. It's fast. The button-facing speaker is a negative. You know, it's loud enough, but after, you know, I got used to the front-facing speaker of the Nexus 5X, and it's so much better. Button-facing speaker, no, it's bad. OnePlus, you have to stop it. If you have a button-facing speaker, okay. If you want to keep it, but then use the earpiece speaker also for media playback, just as Samsung does. There's a speaker, use it, please, OnePlus. That's what's so great about the Samsung Galaxy S9, that it's got a front-facing speaker and a button-facing speaker, not just one button-facing speaker. It's so much better to have at least one front-facing speaker, even if it's just the earpiece. So much better. Okay. What else? The camera. The camera is okay. It takes beautiful pictures. I don't have any complaints about the camera, about anything. My only complaint is that they have removed the fingerprint swipe gesture. So they introduced this feature in the OnePlus 5T, and of course this feature was present in the Nexus 5X, and you know, especially on such a big phone, it's very useful if you can swipe down on the fingerprint sensor and open the notification drawer. On the OnePlus launcher, if you are on the home screen and you swipe down, for example, in the middle of the screen, you can open the notification drawer. But if you are inside an app, it doesn't work. So that's why swiping, or at least double tapping or holding down on the notification, on the fingerprint sensor to open the notification drawer would be so nice, so great. But they have removed this feature, and you know, the problem is that they have removed it. This is not a new feature request from me. I want a feature back that they have already had, but they have removed it, and it's a very, very, very bad decision. You know, they blame the shape of the sensor. They say that because this fingerprint sensor has this shape, this gesture cannot work. And this is unacceptable. This Samsung Galaxy S9 has the same shape, and I mean the fingerprint sensor on the S9 has the same shape, and swipe down gesture works. So the shape of the sensor is not an excuse. This feature should have remained, because on a phone with such a huge display, you really need fingerprint scanner gestures. Okay. Actually, this is my only gripe with this one and the speaker. Two gripes: speaker and fingerprint gesture. These are the two negatives. And actually, I forgot to mention, or I forgot to talk about one huge plus: the navigation gestures. As far as I know, it's similar to the iPhone navigation gestures, but I don't have an iPhone, so whatever. I like it. It's so great that you have such a big screen. There's a notch, so you have even bigger screen. And there are no software buttons, so you have an even bigger screen. And I like it. You know, I won't explain it how it works right now, but you can navigate with swipes, with gestures. And it works great, it's comfortable, I find it intuitive, it's very good. I got used to it in 2 minutes, and I like it. This is a great feature. Gesture navigation, great feature. look at this screen. Just look at this screen. How big is it? Let's unlock. You see the face unlock? How quick is it? Boom. That's it. Okay. One thing that is missing from this one, but now I compare it to Lineage OS. I don't know if it's a fair comparison, doesn't matter. In Lineage OS, there is a great screen capture app baked in. The reason I know it because I installed or I flashed Lineage OS on my Nexus 5X just before it died. But I don't think that Lineage OS killed it because I did factory reset and the 5X didn't die after an update. It just died out of the blue. So I don't think that it was Lineage OS. I think it's some hardware thing. But in Lineage OS, there is a great built-in screen recording app. And it would be so great if such an app would be here. I know you can get screen recording apps from the Google Play Store. But I always say third-party apps are always problematic because they just introduce even more data collection. Why? That's why I like if a company includes includes as much useful features in their operating system in the form of baked-in apps or default apps as possible, and not third-party apps. Because most of the time, third-party apps only introduce more data collection, more privacy issues. That's why I don't like to use third-party apps, and actually I have just the minimal amount of apps on my phone. Really just what I need, possibly apps that do not collect information that is not reasonable. Okay. I think that's it. The OnePlus 6 is a great phone. It's not perfect, but for that much money, it's a great device if you like stock Android, if you don't like bloatware, if you like simplicity, like speed, if you don't want to have double apps, you just want to have the Google apps, because you have the Google apps anyways on every Android phone, which is not, I mean on custom ROMs, maybe you don't have them. For example, you can install Lineage OS without the Google apps. That's what I did on my Nexus 5X. And Android without Google is perfectly usable, livable, doable, manageable. But I don't want to flash Lineage OS or any custom ROM on this device because it's good enough for me. I like it. Alright. I'm just thinking, what can I say about it? What else? Have I touched on everything I wanted to touch on? Have I mentioned everything I wanted to mention? I think that's it for today. One thing. For example, on the OnePlus 3T, if you go to settings, sound and notification, or something like that, there is the do not disturb preferences. At least here on the OnePlus 6, there is the do not disturb preferences, and you can set automatic you can set a start time and an end time for the do not disturb mode. So it's gonna automatically turn it on and turn it off for you at the time you specify. And this is a great feature because I use do not disturb, and I don't like to. I don't like if I manually have to turn it on and off. I like it if it gets turned on automatically, for example at 10 o'clock in the evening, and it gets turned off at, for example, 7 o'clock in the morning. I like it. And this feature of setting uh, practically on and off time for do not disturb mode has been missing from Oxygen OS. As far as I know, this feature is available only from the latest, or yeah, only from the version of Oxygen OS that was on the OnePlus 6 when it came out. So that's also a big plus because I have been missing it. Okay, the notification slider. Have I talked about it already? I don't know. Let's talk about it quickly. The notification slider is great. It's also very useful. For example, when I go to work, I just swipe it into the middle position and then it's going to vibrate. And for example, when I'm on a meeting or I'm putting the kids to bed or whatever, you know, I don't want to make my phone. I don't want my phone to make any noise, even not media playback. Then I have to just swipe it up the whole way, and it's in silent mode. And now, if I, for example, start a YouTube video, it's, you know, it's gonna be muted. That's so great. That's so useful. So, if Samsung didn't have this Bixby problem, I would have kept the Samsung S9 because the hardware is better. The Samsung S9, especially actually in Europe, the Samsung S9 has this Exynos chip, which is of Samsung's own chip. And actually, at the time I bought the Samsung, I have researched the internet, and many people said, and actually I think it was also proven by AnandTech or some tech people. It was they proved it that the Exynos chip. So phones with the Exynos chip had a much shorter or considerably shorter battery life. So Samsung S9 with the Snapdragon chip is much better than the one with the Exynos chip. And here in Europe you only get the Exynos chip. But you know, it wouldn't have been a deal breaker for me because I don't need multi-day battery life. I need just a entire day battery life. I don't want my phone to die on me in the evening, but if it's on 20% late in the evening, whatever, I charge it every night. The battery life on this is great, amazing, 5 or 6 hours of screen time. It's great. So, but I wouldn't mind the battery life on the Samsung S9. I wouldn't mind anything. The only thing that is a deal breaker is the Bixby button, not just the Bixby button, but you know, this ridiculous thing that you have to accept these terms and conditions, and you have to give access to private data in order to turn off Bixby. This is a deal breaker because, you know, would it hurt me if I gave permission to Bixby to access my data? I don't think it would hurt me, but why would I give permission? Why would I hand over my data to Bixby? Why? I don't use it, I don't want it. I'm not giving my private data to it. So yeah, deal breaker. No way, Samsung. Samsung has to change this. Otherwise they won't get my money. But the hardware is better than the OnePlus. The software is better here. On the OnePlus, the software is better. The user experience is, if you like, a stock Android experience is better. But the Samsung Galaxy S9, if you only look at the hardware, it's amazing. It's much better phone than this one. I see videos on YouTube about, you know, a comparison between OnePlus 6 and the Samsung Galaxy S9 and which one to buy. If it wasn't for Bixby, for me it's no question. Samsung Galaxy S9 all the way. It's a better phone than the OnePlus. But for this money, the OnePlus is a great phone. I'm satisfied with it. I like it. OnePlus is great. They are also not perfect, but they are great. So I like this phone. I like OnePlus. I'm not a fanboy of anything really. As Flossie Carter, I want the best features for my money. That's what I want. But there are deal breakers. Alright, that's it for today. Have a nice time and see you next time. Goodbye.